literary works using these theories. So they are still being used. So let's start with the first, criticism. Okay, so we work with literal criticism. But to work with us, we need to know what does mean critics or criticism. People, criticism is not the jargon that we use, okay, to make comments about something else. Okay, so it is not only to get the faults, the disapproval, the censure, something that about something that we read. No, it is more than that. It is used to the what it means or what is the intention of the author, okay, when he or she was writing. So in here we're going to interpret, okay, the words that were used in the text. We're going to analyze and make judgment of individual and comparative worth of works in literature. So this is the way of the theory of traditional criticism. Okay, it's not only to censor something or find some faults or disapproval. No, it is to make analysis, to interpret, to make judgment about the writing or the literary work that was written by the author. So our critical comment, review, article, essay, or something else express an analysis and judgment. Okay, this is an analysis and judgment. So then we have to read the criticism theory, okay, to know how to do that analysis. So we are going to focus on time of the written works, okay, on time, on place, in order to do the analysis, to do our judgment, okay? So remember that writers wrote about the situation that they were living by the moment, okay? If you take different books, okay, from, for example, Huckleberry Finn, if you read this story, how, or where, or why it was written by the moment, what he was expressing in the words, who was Huckleberry Finn. Not only, okay, not only the scholar analysis, but making critics to the work on this one, okay, to make a comparative analysis, to make some judgment what happened during that time, or what the author intention to do during this analysis or writing. So then we are going to be working on that. Okay. Okay, Mariela is coming. So first, distinguish the criticism term. Now, then we move to the literary criticism. Hey, people, literary criticism is focused on three different aspects. First, it is the interpretation, analysis, classification, and judgment of the literary works. So we need to interpret, we need to make analysis, we need to classify events, okay? And of course, we have to make judgment about the literary work. So when we take a document and you're going to do a literary criticism analysis, you have to be focused on these aspects. So it is usually in the form of critical essay, okay, in depth of books, and sometimes it is considered a literary criticism. So when you do an essay, you write an essay about a book, and you focus your interpretation, analysis, classification, you're doing a literary criticism. And of course, you can examine some particular literary works about different writing, okay, or or piece of works that different writers use, okay. Later on, when we talk about the different genres, okay, that you're going to be working with us, but you need to put into practice the different theories. So making a traditional Literary criticism is not new. So it talks about the 15th century by 1580s, okay, when in French, okay, so it was doing a like a critique, okay. So it comes from the terms critique in French. So in Latin we have the criticus, okay, that is a judge, literary critic, or from the Greek time, okay, the Greek terminology comes from kritikos, that is able to make judgment. So it has been the most traditional theory that we have been used, okay, making critics about this one. And of course, the meaning is one who judge merits of books, plates, etc. Merits. The word merits is very important in here. Okay. So by the 17th and 18th century, it was considered just to find the faults and merits. So then they were inserting some terms like the faults in the works. So, and it has been kept today in different literary works or analysis. And then people make more than merit to the books, they make they look for the faults in the book. Okay, that is not only a critic analysis. So it is not someone who merely evaluate the worth or quality of a piece of literature. So it goes more than that. So in where you argue through the interpretation, judgment, analysis, okay, about the meaning of the literary text. Okay, so it is in that way. So when you when you are able to interpret, when you are able to understand the meaning of such literary text, you are making critics. But if you just judge looking for faults, okay, disagreement, disappointing, okay, events or situations, you are not a literary critic, okay, uh, for the text. So you are just making your uh, own judgment, okay, on faults. Then we have to explain how to attempt or reach critical understanding, okay, to different literary texts. And it is done. I told you that before, that every humankind situation or activity has influence on the writing. Okay, so if what people have done in his history has influence on writing, then we are going to be working on specifically on social texts, in political texts, and cultural texts. Okay, so those three aspects have influenced how people write, okay, or have written during the history of people, of human. And this is very important to know this one, because when we are going to read, or when we take, for example, Nelson Mandela's work, okay, this on his mind is political, and how we read those documents. Or Karl Marx, okay, who found the Marxism movement, even instead of working only on the Marxism movement, he promoted a Marxism theory on literary works. And then when we read these documents, okay, we make a critic on this one. So this is Marxism, but because it has an economic influence on the writing. So a literary critic does more than simple discussing, okay, or evaluating importance of literary texts, because it seeks to reach a logical and reasonable understanding. Okay, so keep in mind this one, a logical and reasonable understanding of this one. Um, well, now let's move with literary theory. So to understand literary criticism, now we go back to the literary theory. So what is the literary theory? Okay, the basic way of thinking about literature or literary theory is that these ideas act as different lenses critic us to view and talk about our literature and even culture. Okay, let's talk about this first. Different lenses critics use to view and talk about art, okay? Art and here, then we'll read the same novel or the same play.
I would say that actually, since the very beginning, most of the people think that that is a romantic story, but I said tragedy.
Tragedy. Okay, yes.
So I
Okay,
don't think it's gonna be the same.
okay. Samuel said that most people think immediately that is a romantic story. Okay, good. Third point, an agreement. I agree to you. Second point that someone says, but there is a but in there. It is totally different. Okay, for Samuel, what do you think, Jose Manuel?
All right.
What is
I
Romeo and
haven't
Juliet?
I haven't read that one, but let's pretend that I read it and then I interpret that is all about let's say social criticism and sending a message to people in society, something like that.
Okay, now Jose Manuel's view is based on society. Yes. So his critics goes into society, giving some messages to society. And Christopher, what can you tell me about Romeo and Juliet?
Well, because of the title of the novel, I can think that it's a romantic novel because of some of the movies on TV. And at the top of that, I can say that, well, from my point of view, it can be boring or not interesting. So I think this is all related with some assumptions we can make from the readers.
Okay, this is another word, assumptions. Okay, from the reader's point of view. Okay, yes. For Christopher said that it's boring because it is not a kind of reading that is interesting for him. Okay, and at the very beginning you said that have you noticed everybody have promoted like a romantic play? Yes, and then we have two different versions. Okay, romantic, social, tragedy. So this is totally different. So when you say that literary theory is that these ideas act as different lenses critics, is because everyone when you read a theory, a play, a literature, okay, a work, literary work, when you read this one, you goes deeper and deeper analyzing. For example, the Beowulf. Have you read Beowulf?
A long time ago, and I don't remember well. That was in the
See
VA. I'm too old.
where these people have been studying.
Yeah,
Well,
the
Professor,
Beowulf, if I am not wrong, is is I think it's the first written piece of in English, like very old, and it talks about I don't remember well, but I think it's a monster. I don't. I actually I forgot.
Professor
Uh,
Beowulf is a hero, a Nordic
Beowulf,
hero. Yeah,
yeah, is a heroic tale.
he
Yes.
lived in the year 400, and I don't know in that culture of them.
Yeah. So when we read Beowulf, Romeo and Juliet, The Raven, when we read some other plays like Huckleberry, those kind of plays, and when we immerse in reading and we start reading on them, we not just analyze who's the or what is the author point of view, or who are the characters, the main characters, the secondary ones, what is the plot. We go deeper on that one. This is the lenses of critics. Okay, so why Beowulf was written describing the time or those times. Why William Shakespeare wrote, okay, Romeo and Juliet. What was the message of from Shakespeare in that play? Not only was the love that existed between two different social status people or something like that. No. What is the message in this one? So, what is the lens that we use to analyze that piece of work? Okay, and then this is the idea that act. So it should act in our mind. Okay, so looking different environments, and then when we go in this one, when we say literary theory, when we take the theory that we're going to discuss. For example, if I go to criticism theory, I'm going to look for making judgment, try to understand, making analysis of the situation. If I take the Marxism theory, so I'm going to think on the economy that Capulets had in that moment, okay, or the Montagues had in that moment, okay. So the difference of the social status among people, yes. So this is Marxism theory. If I take formalism theory, that we're going to be working on formalism theory, then we are going to be working on how is the drama or how or what Romeo did to get in love with Juliet, and Juliet being in love with her even though they have differences or their family have differences or everything that they did it. And then we say, does it happen today with people, not with young people, but people? Does it happen today? And then we go to make analysis. This is the different length of critics when we talk about literary theory. So we go in this one. For example, if you go to the queer theory, or gender theory, feminist movement, okay, point of view, they're going to say, but it is just from male movement because Juliet will kill herself at the end of the story, and she could survive along without Romeo and something else, you see? And then we can analyze more than the work that Shakespeare wrote, but taking these theories. So the feminist movement today said that women can be leaders or leader their life. That is okay. And they say, okay, Shakespeare was wrong and when he wrote this one and this one. Okay. Or they can say, who was the leader in the Montagues family? Okay. And then we are start looking, or we are start using different lenses to look at the piece of writing. And this is analysis. Okay. It's not only to say, okay, the character of this one. No. So go on deeper, using different point of view from the piece of writing. Then the second part over here says, point, the different lenses allow critics to consider works of art based on certain assumptions, as Christopher said, certain assumptions within a school theory, within that the school of theory. Okay, when I say school of theory, or the school of theory that I've shown before, here. Okay, traditional, formalism, Marxism, structuralism, historicism, cultural, ethnic, gender, or queer theory. So we have to work with this. Okay, so this is the difference. Okay, and of course, the different lenses also allow critics to focus on particular aspects, not the whole reading, the whole concept, the whole work. Aspect of the work they consider important, particular. If you take Marxism, what was the economic situation in that day? So I think we're going to be focused on this one. So it was independently, economically talking. Okay, so how they success using the capitalism, Okay, so it works in that way. Well, the literary theory. So we have the modern literary criticism, and that is all and goals. In here we have an example. Okay, look at this example. Two examples here. If a critic is working with certain Marxist theories, the reader might focus on how the character in a story interact based on their economic situation. This is what I've been telling you about when we have read Romeo and Juliet. Just looking or thinking on the romance that they have. No, more than that. Marxist theories have analyzed Romeo and Juliet on the economic situation, okay, the status, okay, the social economic situation that was focused in this. What happened with the Montagues, with the Capulets, okay, and this is. And if we go, if a critic is working with a post-colonial theory, remember post-colonial theory, that is the Black Revolution and African Revolution in those times. So the reader might consider the story, same story, but now is using another lens of view. So how character from colonial power, okay, in this case in Britain, France, any colonial power, treat character from Africa or Caribbean. So we can analyze that the Ramirez family they were not in the same status that Juliet's one, the Montagues one, and then we can say, well, these people were the colonists, okay, in the Britain colonies, and the other were from the work labor force, okay, the labor force that was ordinary people on the town, and then we are using a new literary theory that is a post-colonial theory. So how to analyze these two point of view? And we are analyzing the same story, but from the view from different theories, Marxist and post-colonial theories. Okay. Well, people,